Welcome to another Saturday night and taking it to the nub. Now, tonight, I promised you all tonight, we're going to have a lovely night on taking it to the nub because I have three guests, all are the owners of a new company called Lovely Cigars. And if you read my review on this, you know why I want to talk to these gentlemen. They're out there from Green Bay, Wisconsin. They have a phenomenal company. And before we do that, we are just going to give the first shout out to our sponsors today. And they are brought to you by this episode of Taking It to the Nub is sponsored by the Box Press Cigar app, the ultimate cigar smoking experience. With Box Pressed, you can easily catalog cigars with your own virtual humidor. Quickly rate and record notes for any cigar using the smoke session feature. Receive intelligent cigar recommendations based on your personal taste profile and access exclusive discounts from top cigar brands. You can even shop your favorite cigars directly in the app, then automatically sync the order to your virtual humidor, plus so much more. Download Box Press today by typing bxpr.sd/install into any web browser and discover the world of cigars like never before. That's bxpr.sd/install. And today's show is brought to you by All Saints Cigars, a company founded in 2019 and headed up by industry veteran Mickey Pegg and his two friends, Martin Corboy, a successful restaurateur, and Frank Leo, an Air Force Academy graduate military veteran. As Mickey explains it, they were all sitting down talking and smoking cigars, and finally they decided that they would do this thing together. It was time. Mickey said, I decided if I'm going to work hard at it, it should be something I love. Besides, a tough day with a cigar is better than a great day doing anything else. Soon after, they began the process of launching All Saints Cigars, jokingly referring to themselves as the Holy Trinity, St. Michael, St. Martin, and St. Francis. They chose for their logo the cross of St. James, the patron saint of Nicaragua, the country where their cigars would be produced. You can check out All Saints Cigars at www.allsaintscigars.com. All right, let's bring in the Lovely Cigar crew. Gentlemen.
Hey, Jimmie.
Thank you for joining Taking It to the Nub, you lovely guys. Man, before we even get started, I'm going to just tell everybody, you got to have these cigars, not only because they're great, but you get to say that to anybody. What are you smoking? I'm smoking a Lovely Cigar. No, what are you smoking? Who's on first? There you go. I love you guys. This is awesome. So what are you smoking tonight?
Lovely Elegante X2.
There we go. Everybody has the X2?
Yeah, our next blend is actually coming out in the next few weeks. So we'll be coming out with our second line. It's going to be called the number 162, based off the local 162 Cigar Rollers Union. That was based here in Green Bay. It was one of the largest cigar rolling unions in the country at the time. So that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks, though.
All right. Well, let's fire these lovely cigars up. God, I love saying that. I say that all night. Crack myself up. And let's talk some more about your company and how it came to be. But before we get there, why don't you give me each a little background on yourselves, because I know very little about you other than the cigar and how fine it was. So we'll just start, whoever wants to start first, and a little background and how you got into cigars.
Sure. I can start us off. I the first cigar I ever smoked, I was 12 years old, and I found my cigars that my dad had that he was giving away when I was born. And so they were this really old, dried out cigars. That was the first cigar I ever smoked. But moving on in life, it was events and different things like that, and got really into it with some buddies. And then eventually a friend of mine and I kind of started talking, and we ended up opening up a cigar shop in town here. I was part of that for a long time and got out of that eventually, but always wanted to stay within the industry, and working on this brand was always a dream of mine. So.
All right.
Did you say your name?
Oh, I'm Mike, by the way.
Mike Gale, right?
Miguel, sure.
Should we say our names?
Yeah. If you wish to divulge who you are.
Okay.
Unless you're in a witness protection program or something out there.
Unless you're with Zach. And then I could just say any name then at that point, right?
No.
It's probably safer. The name we're gonna go with tonight is I'll Be Keith.
Okay.
I got into cigars. I don't know. I've known Mike for a little bit over 20 years. And when Mike started the cigar lounge, that was probably like the first few times I had like a real cigar. I mean, I grew up smoking cigarettes and whatever that is, and like Swisher Sweets, but like not like cigars. And so Mike opens up this lounge. That was a minute ago now.
Yeah, 16 years ago.
16 years ago. And so I got into it right about then. You're a casual smoker. I head out to his lounge about every month, maybe, for poker night. And then about 5-6 years ago, no, I would say longer than that, about 10 years ago, I just started getting into it. And so when we proposed the idea of starting the cigar business, I was just looking to start another stream of revenue in my family. And Mike proposed, well, I'm thinking about starting a cigar line. So that's kind of like how I got into this. I didn't grow up like passionate about cigars. I got into it kind of later in my life. I was probably would have been 28, 30 when I started getting into it. I know some people are like, oh, my grandpa smoked cigars, and so it's been in my family, and that wasn't me. But I just got super interested in the culture and the blends, why one tastes this way, the other tastes that way, marketing, the aspect, the branding of it, the history of it. I'm a big history buff. Like I really like history, and the cigar industry has history in spades. So
I'm going to just quick before we go to our next guest. You brought up something interesting. You were looking for another revenue stream, and you decided to get into making cigars.
Well, it's a terrible idea. So me and Mike were sitting in my backyard.
Did your family understand that that's a money pit to begin with?
We're in the backyard, and I was like, hey, this year I want to start another business. And me and Mike were just having a cigar. At that point, it was in COVID, so me and Mike were getting together, trying to be like once a week to have a cigar. And in the beginning, it was cigar would be like 6 feet away, and then just slowly during quarantine, just kind of crept into, all right, it's normal now. Let's just have a cigar. And it was, I brought it up then, and who, I don't know, like as you say that, Jimmie, like who gets into the cigar industry, right? I tell my friends that, like, who wakes up and says, you know what? Bet you I can make a cigar, and I bet you I can sell that thing. No one does that. It's a ludicrous idea, But here we are.
There you go. All right. And how about Dylan?
Yeah, so I growing up, after the age of 18, I mean, I smoked some cheap cigars when I was underage, I shouldn't be promoting that or anything. Once I was 18, I really, my only exposure to cigars was special occasions, camping trips, but it was always with my dad. And, it was never the forefront, I was always more into the alcohol and stuff like that. But the cigar was just kind of part of it, but it was always something that I shared with my dad. So then, a few years later, after he passed away from cancer back in 2015, and after he passed away from cancer, I don't know, on the anniversary, the first year anniversary of his death, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go have a cigar by his grave, tell him how my life is, share some stories with him, and I did that the first couple of years just on his anniversary of his death. And I don't know, something about cigars, I just felt connected to him. It reminded me of those good times around the campfire up north. sleeping in tents, waking up early. And that, eventually developed into, falling in love with cigars and smoking 5 a day for many years. And, I worked at the local shop here for a while I was finishing up my business degree. And, yeah, it just kind of seemed like a natural thing. And I actually joined up with these guys later. Mike and I were planning on doing something with cigars pre-COVID. We actually had a book trip to Nicaragua. What was that? March?
Yeah, it was March, right when
March of
COVID hit.
2020. So we
Yeah.
were still planning to go. We were like, well, as long as they let us go. The country got shut down like a few days before our flight. So
Bro, can you imagine getting shut down?
stuck down there. Yeah. So but then I had a kid, and that there's a bunch of life stuff. So these guys started the company, and I joined up after. More recently, December this past winter, something like that. So
when you started the company, so this company's what now? What, 2 years old? Maybe 3?
About 3 years old when we initially started the idea, when we started the process, started saying, who are we going to talk to? How are we going to do this? And then really started to formulate that business plan. It's been just a little over 3 years at this point.
Yeah, it took a couple of years to get. I mean, every little thing you I guess you wouldn't realize that is involved in making cigars. The boxes, the artwork, the bands, the cellophane, the paperwork, the licensing, and once you get through all those hurdles, we got cigars late August, September. So we've been selling cigars for 8 months.
Yep, a lot of front end investment.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
And a lot of press in the flesh with various shop owners in your area to introduce yourself even without the cigars, so maybe they know they're coming, and building some excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the cool things with this brand, it's on our website, talks about the history. It's the old brand that we revived that was originally started in the late 1800s, and it was made right here in Green Bay into the 60s. Until that Cuban embargo hit, they couldn't get tobacco anymore. And so there's a lot of history right here in Green Bay about this brand. And I even found an old Press Gazette local article that talked about Bloss's News and Tobacco, which has been in business for 125 years here in Green Bay. And they used to carry this brand in their store. And I reached out to them and I was like, hey, check out this article. And the guy was talking about Bloss's and how the customers wanted darker cigars, and he threatened to put shoe polish in his cigars to make them darker, So they were on board right away. They're like, we got to carry this. And really cool thing was they recently moved, and during that process, they found some of the old boxes in their basement in their storage. So they
wow!
They actually had some of the old boxes from the 50s and 60s still down in their basement.
Like with cigars in them?
No cigars, just empty boxes. I know.
So people think, like, when they think Green Bay, they think of the Packers and they think paper. We're a real blue collar town, but Green Bay, before the Green Bay Packers and before the paper factories started up, we were a port to get you into Lake Michigan, right? So sailors would come here, they would dock for a little bit, they grab toiletries, they grab their liquor, and they would grab cigars. And people don't like connect Green Bay with such a vast tobacco history. It was a huge market for not only Green Bay but Wisconsin. I mean, in the Midwest, it was Green Bay, it was Milwaukee, and Chicago were the ones that were rolling cigars, selling cigars. And so when we were like, well, let's start a company. All we had to do is look at our backyard and be like, sheesh, Green Bay not only has like such a vast history, but like that story, I think, is relevant and important not only for the cigar industry but for the state of Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, and it is true what you brought up. I mean, I know that history of it, and I think what I love it when brands like yours do rebirth some of these old brands. I know I have a friend over in Tarpon Springs, Florida, that rebirths a lot of the old defunct Tampa brands. and he keeps bringing back those and redoing the bands and redoing blends and putting them on those. And it's been very successful because people love nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
They love history. They love connecting to their history. So you're connecting people, especially the cigar enthusiasts in Wisconsin. You're connecting them back to the history of the cigars in the state and Green Bay.
Yeah. And that was a big thing for myself, like as a guy that I love this community, I love this city, I love this state. That was a big thing to kind of like put the old history onto our shoulders and see what we can do in the future with it, bring it into the future, modern times. I mean, Wisconsin, we used to be a tobacco state in general. Like, I found this out like a couple of years ago, but I didn't realize that Wisconsin produces the vast majority of cranberries that we eat in like the entire world.
More than like New England.
Oh, yeah. Ocean Spray is like they take most of it from Wisconsin, but before we were a cranberry state, and that's like a quiet cash crop, right? People don't link Wisconsin with the largest distributor of cranberries in the world.
No, I link it to cheese.
Right. Before those fields were, those marshes were making cranberries. That were southwest portion of the state was all making tobacco, and it just kind of just dried itself up, and for whatever reason, agriculture turned to cranberries.
That's fascinating. Now, when you created this blend, what was your desire in the blend? I mean, did you already have in your head, being somebody like Mike, being somebody who has smoked a lot of cigars, ran a shop, knowing blends and knowing tobacco, did you have a blend in mind or a flavor profile? How did you go forth with the blend?
So we were, having a discussion, exactly what you're asking about. How do we want to do it? What do we want to bring forward? And, we all love Nicaraguan tobacco. So that was kind of like, we'd like to kind of stay in that Nicaraguan profile. But from there, it was more of, what do we want to experience while we're having a cigar? It wasn't like, I need to have, a Mexican wrapper, or I need to have, this from Jalapa. It was more about, what do we want the cigar to do for us while we're having that cigar? So we wanted it to be something on the front end that kind of gets you to say, oh, what do I got here, right? Kind of gets you, piques your curiosity. Then we wanted to have some transitions throughout the cigar, so it's not just a bland, single dimension cigar. And really, from that standpoint, then we wanted to have a clean finish afterwards. So that was really what we talked about, was like, hey, we want it to be Nicaraguan first, at least a major portion. And then from there, let's just try to achieve this goal for the cigar. And then from that point, it was like, all right, when we got our samples, and like you said, this was starting through COVID, so we couldn't really travel. It was like, send them in, then we'd give our notes, we'd send them back, and then 2-3 months later, we'd get another batch of cigars, and we'd say, we like this, we don't like that. We'd like to maybe put this one on the front end of this cigar with the back end of this cigar. Try to change it up and create that experience. And, we don't want it to be overwhelming. We want it to be something that's great, that people like it. If you really want to have another cigar afterwards, we don't want it to burn out your palate. So we wanted it to be something that a lot of people could enjoy. And I'd like to think we did a pretty good job of coming up with that. So
I think you did an awesome job. I mean, you have not many companies that I know, brand new, come out with a single inaugural cigar in a single vitola and nail it. All right. You have a very, like you said, the front end of this cigar gives you that pepper, and it gives you a kind of a cashew note I got on it. Okay. Some people maybe somebody might even describe that as a creaminess, but there's certain notes that I kind of discern different ways. And this one kind of tasted more like a cashew, but sometimes that can morph into cream just because of its taste. You know, if you think of like cashews turning milk or something. But that's how it starts. And like you said, it piqued my interest immediately. Right. I mean, even right now, I'm getting this beautiful fruity aroma coming off of it. Just, I mean, this cigar is a little older than the one you gave me. All right. So I think that they're getting better with age too, which is good. Now, how long were the ones like the ones that the first batch I got from you were aged for how long?
So the tobacco is all aged for 1 to 3 years prior to it being rolled. After it's rolled, it sits in their mirroring room.
In the aging
For
room, right?
the aging room for probably 3 to 6 months, depending.
Okay.
You know, from that standpoint, and then it comes to us, and then so from there, it's probably. I mean, it might have been an extra 3 to 6 months that we've had. So
Now, when we started, like the criteria was we didn't have a lot of them, right? So like me and Mike smoked vastly different cigars. Like that's especially at the time when we were doing this, we had vastly different palettes. And so we had this little leather notebook or this diary, like, so what would be the perfect cigar? And mine was, I just said, hey, I want the draw to be like really easy. Like I work really hard in life. I don't want to work smoking a cigar. I want it to be a produce smoke. Like I want it to be like a smoke factory. And at the time, I really loved pepper in the front. Like I think those like when we sat down, I was like, those are the only real 3 things I definitely need to have. Pepper in the front needs to produce a ton of smoke, and it just the draw needs to be really, really smooth. It needs to be easy. And I from what I wanted out of the cigar, nailed it with this one.
Yeah, and I would say yes, and I wouldn't use the term easy draw in a sense. It's not. I don't want anybody to think this is not an open draw. Okay, I would describe this as properly restricted. Okay, because you want that just the right amount of restriction, but not prohibiting that full volume of smoke. Because when you get that little restriction is when you start to get that extra burst of flavor coming in. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to burn too fast, right? And you don't want that. You want this to be a good hour and a half, hour and 45-minute Toro. And then what was your notes on this?
Me?
Dylan or Mike?
Oh, yeah. So I joined up with them after they had already blended this cigar. And I sat down with Mike just to try it, we didn't really, I had heard that they got it going. And, Mike and I had discussed starting a cigar company prior to COVID, I was like, man, that's really cool. Want to give it a try. Tried it out, and immediately I fell in love with the cigar. I was like, I want to be a part of this, like, how can I get involved? And it'd be really tough to try and sell a cigar that sucked, like having to fake that you really enjoy it, and smoke it every day and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how some brands, we met some people that, have startup cigar companies, and some of them are a little rough, but I guess everybody's palate's different. But we haven't found a whole lot of people that don't like this cigar so far. I guess the main criticism is that you got people that smoke 5-6 cigars every day. They're not looking at for a medium bodied cigar. It does have complex flavors, but some of those shop dweller, the people that are there all the time, want something a little bit stronger, but
well, they may be a little stronger in strength. I think
right.
I think the blend is so well balanced on this that, like you said, there's a lot of nuances. The flavor's there. I think the flavor, I would put the flavor at full flavor. I wouldn't put the strength at full strength. And I think that's right for an inaugural cigar, because this is a cigar any enthusiast that's out there should try, and I sure will like. Okay.
Mm.
It
Thank
may
you.
not be, it may not be the cigar for them that's going to kick them in the head because that's what they like. But you know what? Not everybody's going to smoke that kick in the head cigar all day long. Sometimes they want that mid-afternoon cigar. Sometimes they want that late evening cigar. I smoke this cigar in the morning with a cup of coffee on my patio on a Saturday with my dog. Okay.
I
Just
hear
sit
that all the
back
time.
and
That
relax.
breakfast cigar.
I am this is a perfect breakfast cigar.
It really is. I mean, it has, because it's got some sweetness in it. I mean, let's be real. The blend on this, and I'll go through it for everybody. I'll talk to it. So you got an Ecuadorian wrapper, you got a Mexican binder, and you got Nicaraguan fillers. I don't know if you want to divulge what type of Nicaraguan fillers are in here. Okay.
I mean, some of it's from, it's from all over Nicaragua, Jalapa, Esteli. We have a bunch of Ometepe leaf in there from the island.
I
So
was gonna say there had to be Ometepe in this because it's
that's
one of my favorite leaves, but that and Jalapa. But the Ecuadorian really tones it down, gives it that balance. Now, what did you want to do with the cigar, Mike?
what I wanted to do is, like I said, we wanted to have something that kind of gets you saying, all right, I'm in for something. You know, we wanted it to, like, grab some attention, as soon as you light it. So, but not, I've had other cigars where it's overwhelming to start as well. And we didn't want it to be that.
Didn't want it to attack the palate.
Exactly. We wanted it just to say, pay attention, here I am. And then we wanted it to transition, kind of get that creamy, maybe a little bit of butteriness to that smoke. I like the little bit of citrus flavor, that sweetness that's in there. And I love that part of the cigar. And then towards the end, I really wanted it to kind of build and finish where it's not dull, and then at the end, you're kind of like, boy, that was a nice cigar. And then if I wanted to, I could smoke another one of the same cigar again, or if I want to do something different, I can. So that was kind of what I really wanted to accomplish is, if I'm done, I've had a great experience. I don't need to do anything else. If I'm not, I can still pick up the same cigar. I can pick up another one. That was really what I wanted to achieve.
And when you talk about the finish, my notes say that it had a continued light spice and cream notes with this fruity nuance down to the final. So it kind of took all those other things that were in the front and blended, and then it kind of settled down into this nice finish, like you said, where you sit back and go, okay, it didn't attack me. All right. It didn't kick me in the head. And I could probably light another one up right now and have it again.
Yeah, and that was as we were both discussing, is Mike definitely is. You smoke more cigars than me in my life, right? And so I was like, I don't want to have a cigar that, like, when I'm done with it, I'm like, oh, I just want to go sit down for like 5 minutes and drink some water. Like, I didn't want that experience, right? I wanted the people like the Mikes of the world to be like, yeah, I could have another one, or I'm good. And then I wanted the people of me of the world that, like, have 4 or 5 a week, right? That'd be like, that was good. I don't feel sick, but I also I feel like I smoked a cigar,
Now, the price point on this I found interesting because I don't know if you gave it to me or I found it somewhere online, but the price point that I quoted on here was $11.11. Is there a significance to that number?
MSRP is just $11.
$11.
So I don't know where the extra 11 cents came from.
I don't know. I don't know. I found it was $11.11, and some people are asking, where can they find these, like, online? Okay.
So on our website, we have done some sales with Luxury Cigar Club. If you're a member there, you can also go online. You can order from Luxury Cigar Club. So we have the link right on our website. It's lovelycigars.com.
Okay, we're gonna pull that up in a moment. Show people the website. Kelvin Brown says, when Jimmie says the cigar is lovely more than 3 times, it's a must buy. box ordered luxury cigar club.
Thanks, Kelvin.
Kelvin's great. Kelvin follows me, and sometimes he starts posting pictures of cigars, and I'm like going, he's got my whole website on his in his portfolio. He keeps putting out cigars that I review on his photos. All right, and I don't think I've set him down the wrong path yet. So because he keeps posting, so I guess it's okay.
There you go,
Man.
At this point, what I want to do is I got to go back to another final sponsorship mode, and we're gonna talk about our final sponsors, and then when I come back from this, you guys can take a quick break here. It's about a 4-minute segment. When we come back, we'll dig into your website and we'll dig into some more about you guys as individuals and some more history of you, and we'll keep this show rolling. So let me share the sponsors for today's show. And today's show is brought to you by Casa Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others, fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Following in his father's footsteps, his son Juan Jr. continued with the family business, successfully expanding it until events which took place in 1959 forced a dramatic change. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family cigar factory Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Louis Sr. is joined by his son Louis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars at their factory Tabacalera Las Lavas in Santiago, Dominican Republic. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels.
Introducing Blackened Cigars, M81 by Drew Estate. A dark, bold, and unapologetic cigar collaboration.
My job is all about taste. So when Janus mentioned he wanted to create an exclusive cigar, I was stoked.
Like Metallica, Drew Estate has some of the most hardcore fans out there. I've known Rob Dietrich for years, and when he approached me to collaborate on this, we couldn't be more excited. I mean, Metallica, Black and Whiskey, and Drew Estate, what could be a better passion project? Needed to craft a cigar unlike anything in our portfolio.
One that would take cigar fans on the deepest, darkest, heaviest journey into the mystical world of Maduro.
Full-bodied with notes of espresso, leather, and dark chocolate. Blackened Cigars, M81 by Drew Estate.
Before you light your next cigar, be sure to check out Cigar Medics, the makers of the patent-approved humidimeter. The humidimeter is a tool designed to display the relative humidity inside your cigar. With this device, there's no more guessing. Simply insert the probes into the foot or cap of your cigar, and you can instantly know if your cigar is ready to be smoked. Buy now on cigarmedics.com and see site for other cigar accessories. With the humidimeter, you'll know when to hold them and know when to smoke them.
And today's show is brought to you by Bocock Brothers Cigars, a new and active brand founded by two Honduran brothers, Bryant and Douglas Bocock. The brand zeroes in on those folks that are looking for easy-to-smoke cigars inspired by unusual circumstances. Very importantly named after their very interesting and imitable last name, Bocock. Right now, Bocock Brothers is featuring their signature edition, made at the A.J. Fernandez factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. It features an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Nicaraguan Habano binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. Available in 3 popular formats, a Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo. You can check out Bocock Brothers Cigars at www.bocockbrothers.com. And today's show is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar. This results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at Platinum Nova Cigars, www.novacigar.com, and on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. All right. We'll bring back a little unmute yourselves. I muted you guys, so you got to unmute real quick.
Good to go.
All right. So, the factory. How did you pick the factory to make your cigars? Were you able to eventually get down to Nicaragua after the pandemic?
Yeah. We've been down, and we actually just got back Tuesday. We were down there this past week as well. But with me being in the industry for a while, I knew a whole bunch of different people, reached out to some different factories, and there's the predicates, and the FDA is trying to come into everything. So there's a lot of people are kind of saying, we don't want to do anything extra, or we don't want to do anything new. So there's a little bit of pushback in some places, and I ended up reaching out to an old contact that was up here. He was a cigar rep for a long time in this area. He's down in Texas now, and we started talking, and he put me in touch with Carlos Sanchez at Tecasa. And that's who we're working with today. He's been in the industry for 30 years. He's got not a huge factory, but he's got a nice sized factory. He actually has his own fields on Ometepe. So it's a really good relationship, fantastic person, just a lot of fun to be around. And he knows tobacco really, really well. So for us, it was more, again, not necessarily like we got to be in XYZ factory. We don't need to be in this place or that place. We want to make sure we're creating something that we love, that we think other people are going to love, and it's going to give everybody that experience that they want to have when they're lighting up a cigar.
And you're absolutely right. It's your relationship that you build in this industry with factory, shops, brokers, you name it, everybody that's involved is just building that relationship and maintaining that, because a factory, if they've been doing cigars for 30 years, they know what they're doing. They got feels, they know even more than what they're doing. All right, then that's a plus. Having your hands on Ometepe coming out of a factory that owns the field is probably not a bad thing, because you're not paying the extra duty on the leaf, which is a rare leaf to be getting your hands on.
Right. Absolutely.
So let's go over to the website for a second and take a look at that. So this is your website. Very clean website. Obviously very inviting as soon as you come in, see your cigars. This is the company that you rebirthed, correct?
Correct.
Ain't they lovely?
Yep, that's the brand. It was actually originally called Rice Brothers, spelled R-E-I-S. They were the company that opened and started rolling cigars in Green Bay initially, and that sold to Rutten. Peter Rutten was the guy's name that was running it as the last guy. He was an apprentice under the Rice family and company, and so it was Rutten Brothers was the last one. So when we saw this box, it was just kind of like, oh, we gotta bring this back. So Ain't They Lovely was the brand that they sold, that the Rutten Brothers sold at the end of their business life. And that's why we, when we looked at it, we thought, well, Lovely Cigars just had a good ring to it. Really liked the way it sounded, and it was just kind of let's go with this.
Sure. Everybody wants to smoke a lovely cigar. Yeah, I said it 4 times. I would say it more. If those that want to know where to purchase them, obviously if you don't have these in a shop near you yet, let your shop know about them, see if they can bring them in. But until then, if you don't happen to be in the shops where these are, you could purchase these right here from the Luxury Cigar Club, and you can go right on here and purchase it. So that's where you go to purchase the cigars. If you want to become a retailer, you can reach out to them and they will get you on board and you subscribe to their site. The cigars themselves, I think that feeds through. Let's go. So this is what we're smoking now, is known as the Elegante X2. The history, they give you a little history of it, what he just talked about earlier, what the team was discussing, how they came about. This is some of the original boxes, I take it.
Yes, the warranty labels, and then that in the center there, that's the original vista, the original artwork that was on the boxes from the late 1800s. And you actually have the box here. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Hold on, we'll come back to that when I go off the screen. We'll show that, because you put that inside the box, if I recall correct. These are the retailers, so I always love sites that have retailers on them, so you can see where you can get them. So you are broadly based in Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa. You're in Rochester, New York. That's fun. Minnesota, Pennsylvania,
Texas,
New Mexico, Texas. So you're not down in Florida yet.
not yet.
All right, we got to reach out to people like Abe from Smoke Inn, Jeff Borshowitz from Corona Cigars, my local shop. You're going to be, are you going to the PCA show this year?
We are.
I missed that.
Yeah, we got a booth.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to tell my local shop to go visit you guys. If you want to see the reviews, there's this one guy that did this amazing review on this cigar right here. Came in at a rated 95. Okay. So this is what I said. This is, this one, they knocked it out of the ballpark. I don't use these words cheaply. Okay. So, and then there's an about us that gives you their philosophy. So very nice site. You introduce each one of the different owners, Mike and Keith and Dylan. Dylan, he doesn't have his handlebar mustache right now. I noticed that, but he's going to grow it back, because I think you need that if you could be selling lovely cigars. Show that box.
Yeah.
Let me spotlight that. Hold on.
Let's see if I can get right up here for you. Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna spotlight you for a second. Where is it? My spotlight. There we go. Beautiful.
Got it.
Got it.
Yeah. So I'd show you up there, but here's the union sticker that's on the side. And here's the original warranty label. And it talks about it, and it has dates written on here all over the place. And this one says from like 1888, I believe. It's a little bit hard to make out, but that's how old this box is. We found it right here in the antique shop right in Green Bay originally. So when I first opened the box, I just thought it was just a beautiful box, and I was just very impressed with the artwork, and we wanted to, pay a lot of respect to that when we started the brand.
And you took that image and you have it inside your box now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right. So you own that image. Did you have to buy that trademark, or is that or you had to re-register that?
We registered it. It's been out of circulation for so long that it was, available. But we do have it registered at this point.
Before you created this cigar, what was your go-to cigars? What did you gravitate to in a humidor?
I'm still, I was always a big Nicaraguan fan. So, I mean, I like Perdomo, I like Illusione, Tatuaje, my father, you know, I gravitated a lot towards some of those, more boutique brands. They're pretty, you know, pretty big at this point, but
Yeah,
know,
they've grown.
years ago, they weren't they weren't that big back then. But you know, I've kind of stuck to Nicaraguan tobacco is really my favorite. I do like good Dominican tobacco as well. Not a huge Cuban fan personally. They're just so hit or miss, but primarily Nicaraguan tobacco for me.
Me as well. I was really and still am was onto a cigar New World, and so it starts really similar to ours. The draw is really good. Produced a lot of smoke and it has that peppery start. And I was really in love with that cigar in 2020 when we were talking about this business. I like the double chateau from Fuente.
Oh, and it's always a standard.
The San Latano Requiem. I think those three are my top three go-tos if I'm not smoking a lot.
How about you, Dylan?
Some of my big ones I really like. Perdomo ESV Connecticut, when you can buy those. I really love, I mean, it was the first more full-bodied, as far as nicotine goes, Connecticut cigar that I had. And boy, that one really knocked my socks off. I like La Polina, KB2s, KB3s, that type of stuff. I haven't tried any of the new ones, but I'm excited to get my hands on some of those. You know, Caldwell cigars, a lot of those are good.
Do you see
yeah,
how many Caldwell cigars he's put out this year? Have you been paying attention to Caldwell this year? He's like flooding the market with cigars this year. It's hilarious. I mean, he comes out with like one every week or some shit. You know, it's like
Yeah. Yeah,
and,
no, but,
and considering that his factory burned down.
yeah, but I really like the full body Connecticut's, and when we were down in Nicaragua, so not the one that we're releasing for PCA, the number 162. That one's gonna have a similar profile to this, but it's gonna have a stronger nicotine content.
Let's talk about that. That's a good segue. So let's reel that back a little. So talk about what you're releasing at PCA that's gonna be the sister or brother to this one.
Yeah, so it's called the number 162. We're gonna have three sizes. We're doing a Churchill, we're doing a Corona, and we're doing a Robusto. It's got the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, very similar flavor profile. It starts off a little peppery like this one does and kind of eases off of it. It's got a Sumatra binder instead of a Mexican binder, so it's got a lot more strength to it. We wanted to kind of step away from just straight medium, get something for some of the guys that, you know, really want to feel their cigars a bit more. And then we came up with our blends for the next two releases that we're going to do early next year. One of those is going to be a full body Connecticut, and then we got a Maduro as well, really nice Maduro. So
you got a nice pipeline growing.
We do, yeah. We wanted to plan. I mean, we're planning a couple years out. You know, that's the only way to really try to stay ahead of the game. But you know, we're really excited for the 162. Like I said, it's not a big departure from the Elegante. It's similar, but there's definitely a difference. It's going to be more of our core line. The Elegante is a quarterly release versus the 162 is going to be available all the time. So that's the other big difference in that blend. But again, it's a little bit stronger, a little bit more nuanced, a little bit different flavor profile. That binder does make a big difference on that cigar.
we wanted all of our cigars to make sense together. You know, we didn't want to have this blend and then this blend, and you try both cigars and you're like, is this a completely different company? You know, and just kind of get blindsided. You know, you grab a stick off the shelf that says Lovely on it, and you kind of know what you're getting into.
You're going to get into a Lovely cigar.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is the artwork going to be different on the band on the new one?
So the bands are gonna be the same. The 162 band, instead of the red that's in the band, is gonna be green. So the band is actually gonna be the same band. For our next cigars that are coming out, we'll probably add a foot band. And that's gonna be a slightly different band, but we're gonna maintain the same band, throughout our lines.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, you can either, you could have even kept the same band and just put a secondary band under it that said the 162 or something like that. Pay some homage to the put some of that Union design to it. Would be
Yeah, the
pretty
boxes
cool.
are gonna be different. So our box now is 10 and 2, so 10 wide, 2 high. It's gonna be 5 and 4. So it's gonna be a little bit more shelf friendly for the retailers. That they'll have a display in the back so you can slide out the lid and stick it in the back. So it's gonna be a really nice presentation. It's gonna call out 162 really prominently on the box.
So they're going to be cabinet boxes.
Yep.
Nice. I like cabinet boxes. I like them after they're all done, because the only way I could store stuff in my humidor with the shelves that are tilted is to put boxes in and put the cigars in the box. Otherwise, I can only get 2 high and not 5 high.
Right.
Now, how do you 3 break up your roles in the company? Who does what?
So I do more of the sales side of things. I've been in and around sales for over 20 years. So from that standpoint, I do a lot of traveling and I'm out and about a lot. So what I do at night is I go to cigar shops and, I call them before I come, make sure I'm going to be welcome, which, typically always are at cigar shops. So, I get out and get to talk to a whole bunch of people. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I'm a media producer by trade, so I make television commercials, graphic design, do websites, and so I do that stuff for Lovely. So the marketing material, website.
So you're the marketing guy. You're the
Yeah.
marketing guy. You're the only guy in the group that's not wearing a Lovely shirt.
He's got the lovely hat on.
I got.
Oh, you got a Lovely hat on. There you go. Is that a Lovely hat? You can't even see it. Look at that.
jet black.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those Yankee fans that have a black hat with the Yankee emblem. You can't see it.
You can wear any color T-shirt you want as long as it's black.
There you go. I love it. And Dylan, what do you do?
Yeah, so I work in private aviation. I got a job working for what's called a fixed base operator. It's like if you own a private jet, you don't fly into the terminal where all of the Delta and Americans are. You fly into an FBO. It's just a little bit, that's where you would go with a private jet. And just got a job doing that entry level, worked my way into management within a year. And then just found out that, managing in business came natural to me. I was originally going for like electrical engineering. That was more of a grind.
That's what I do. I know that. It's a fun career.
But the business just seemed easy. It seemed like I would just make decisions based off of what I thought was best, and it usually ended up paying off. So worked my way to a point where they gave me some shares of the company. So I'm one of the owners now of the local FBO here in Green Bay. So I have a mind for business, and that was, kind of my role when they brought me on.
So you're doing like, so do you work the analytics of the business now with that business mind? Is that like kind of what you do?
I do all the accounting.
Keith and I don't do that stuff.
No,
Good at any of that stuff he does.
yeah. I when I joined up, I think I spent 3 weeks straight just trying to get everything organized and sorted out, get the processes rolling. So we just added credit card capture. So that was, I pursued all of that stuff. So that's really the great thing about this is we're all friends beforehand. You guys have known each other, what, 21 years? 21 years. I've known both of them for 8. And we all have our own specialties, and we respect that the other people know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. And when Keith starts talking about color wheels and stuff, Mike and I roll our eyes, here we go, 20 minutes, but even we kind of decided, even if it never went anywhere, we didn't sell any cigars. We were happy getting together and we would just smoke all the boxes ourselves.
That's normally the answer if they're not selling.
Yeah,
At
we have
least you
business
have
meetings,
cigars
it
you'll
just
smoke.
kind of feels like you're getting together with friends, you know, so.
Yeah, worst case scenario, we spent a lot of money on cigars we love.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the big thing.
And you
When
didn't pay a super premium price.
when the checklist goes, it's like, well, at the end of the day, if this thing blows up magnificently and I have 1,000 boxes of cigars to smoke, I at least want to like them as I do it, you know?
Exactly. So we have another comment coming in from Tim McCann, who was asking earlier, I think, about where to get them. And he says, since I'm listening, do you have a code for free shipping at Luxury Cigar Club?
Really? If we do, I don't know it.
Yeah, if you find it out, post it, Tim.
I'll have
Right.
to get hold of Ben and find that out.
Yeah, you might want to check that one out.
Sorry, Tim.
So yeah, so the short answer is no.
Okay, there you go. One more thing before we move on to the last segment. I always have to do this from now until July because this is important to me. Let me just share one more thing here. So those that know, those that are watching that don't know, you're going to learn. So in July, I am climbing Mount Fuji. So when you guys are at PCA, I'm climbing this mountain here with my son and I. This is my son. He got his doctorate in neurobiological research, studying the autism spectrum. And I promised him that we would climb Mount Fuji when he got his doctorate. He got his doctorate. I was a fat fuck. And he said, we're never climbing Mount Fuji, which inspired me to lose 80 pounds, get in shape. And now we're ready to climb in July. So as part of that, what I said, I'm going to reach out, especially to the cigar community, who's a very giving community, to see if anybody wants to help raise money. We've raised almost $5,000 now. You can scan this QR code. So if you're not doing anything right now, while you're sitting there smoking a cigar and drinking, people, just scan that code, drop anything you can on that. It would be greatly appreciated. None of this money comes to me. That code brings you right to this right here, which is the Autism Speaks campaign that we have. We've raised $4,905. And right now, what we're doing is anybody who donates, if you want to tag like a cigar brand that you love, if your fans want to get involved in this to help you, or if you're a shop, or if you're just a cigar group, if you put your name in when you donate, you put a dash, Lovely Cigars. I get a dashboard that shows all the contributions that are coming in, and whoever raises the most money is getting a photo op from my son and I at the top of Mount Fuji with their branded gear, cigar, whatever, as the sun rises over Japan. And I'm going to get that framed so that they can hang it up as being the top of the heap. What's cool right now is a smoke in right now is at about 1,400. My local cigar shop, I went to an event on Thursday. We were able to raise over 500 and growing. So we're having a battle. So whoever, anybody wants to get into that, the number right now is $1,400 to try to raise to beat smoke in. But they're still going to be getting some money coming in too. So the battle's on to do that. We gave away some interesting prizes, in a couple rounds of prizes already. Anybody that donates, you will get all those names will go on a wheel. When we hit the $6,000 level, we have another round of prizes we're giving away that people have donated to give out. So we'll be doing that. And I'm trying to get a few more big guys going. I have a conversation with one of the bigger companies on Tuesday. I'm trying to get something really special to go as the big grand prize that we'll give out when we get close to July. So that's what we're doing for that. So anything you could do to help, that would be greatly appreciated. The cigar community, like I said, is giving. We are all 1 degree separated from somebody on the spectrum. Everybody in this room and listening knows somebody that's affected by autism, and it affects us. So anything you can do, let's make it happen. Let's see what the cigar community can do, because in the end, I plan on taking all of this and sending it off to PCA and saying, this is what the cigar community did for autism on this little campaign that we did. And I'd love to see as much as we can get. $10, you're smoking $10, $15 cigars. You're drinking $15, $20 bourbons in a lounge. Forego one cigar, drop $10 one night. You know how far that'll go when every consumer did that?
Yeah.
5,000 would be nothing.
Right.
That's very cool.
Becomes
That's
really
really
big
cool.
numbers. So that's what we're doing. Let's talk about you guys individually now and things that you like besides cigars. I just watched a really fun movie. We'll get into that at the close of the show. But what, you streaming anything lately? Find anything that's cool to watch?
I love the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
I don't know. The show is amazing. It's in the last season, so if nobody's watched it, if you guys watching this haven't watched it, I definitely recommend that.
I do too. Thank you.
Yeah.
You? I don't know. I kind of just watch whatever. I have a lot of oddball hobbies that take up most of my time. That and my 1-year-old son. But yeah, you were talking about my mustache actually. So I was growing that out with a purpose. I trimmed it, and the trimming went bad. I never tried trimming my mustache before, so I ended up taking it all. I'm gonna grow it back again for the summer.
What they have barbers for?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I can imagine what that was. I mean, that was a glorious mustache. And the back clip was it like, no, how do you get in here? Something terrible happened.
But the whole reason that I was growing that out wasn't just aesthetics. I've got a one of those old penny farthing bicycles. The high wheel bicycle, like what Caldwell's got on their branding with the big wheel and the little wheel. And I ride that around and people just lose their minds, people haven't seen somebody riding one of those before. So for the first couple of years that I had it, I was always joking, like, I'm gonna grow my mustache out, I'm gonna get a top hat, a tailcoat, and just go ride it in parades. Completely uninvited.
This guy looks like he should be here.
Right, I think we're gonna feel bad, mustache out, but I didn't time it out appropriately, so it got a little too long. So I want to have it back how it was, maybe by July. So
Wow, that's a funny story.
Yeah, one of many odd hobbies. I've been real into boomerangs lately, yo-yoing.
Wow, you're into all the eclectic, cool stuff, man.
Yeah, just the weird ones. Yeah. So
you're a good yo-yoist. I mean, you can do like all the really cool things, walking a dog and spinning it between it.
Yeah, walking the dog's not even a trick as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, if you ever have a chance, look up it's called a DNA. That's what the trick is. So you hop it, you throw it down, you hop it up, you land it, so it's spinning sideways on your finger. Then you do what's called a laceration bind. I'm getting a little technical, but you essentially whip the string into it, and then lift it, and it does like a quadruple helix, and it just spins and spins and spins, and you throw it up and catch it. So it's pretty viral online right now, that trick. But yeah, I can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I just started in December. Actually, my niece bought me like a crappy like dollar store yo-yo, and I hadn't really yo-yoed before, and I was like, man, I wonder what a good yo-yo is like. And so I've been doing it since December, but it's a good winter hobby in Wisconsin,
Yeah, well, that's pretty much 10 months a year.
That's what it's like down here.
That's it. So
what about you?
So
what do you do with your time when you're not smoking cigars?
what do I do?
Yeah.
Well, I work ridiculous hours until about 6 o'clock at night from 5 o'clock in the morning. Then I have dinner with my wife, and then I come out here and I do Stogie Press stuff from 7 on. And usually with that moment, this time of the year, this is my fun time of the year because it's baseball season. I'm a huge baseball fan, obviously. All right. My Red Sox, you know, I was born, like I said, I was born and raised in New York. I don't follow the rest of the Boston teams. Used to follow the Patriots, but I always follow a quarterback. So right now, no more quarterbacks. So I'm kind of looking for the next team. And
No more quarterback. You guys got like so many quarterbacks right now. You can't choose one.
No. I have to go look for it. Like I'm looking at Mahomes real closely right now. I'm thinking I might have to put the Kansas City jersey on now. Before the Patriots, it was the Denver Broncos because I loved Elway. Elway was my guy. All right. And then Brady came on the scene and it was Brady, and he just floored me because it just never stopped being great. You know, so it kept me entertained. But when it comes to baseball, it's Red Sox through and through. And this is the time of the year I just sit back and watch the game. Like tonight, they're on at 10 o'clock. I'll be watching the game at 10 o'clock. I have MLB TV I subscribe to, and that's my thing. I just sit here and I watch every game. And I'm fixated on the game. Win or lose, I just love watching baseball. And I love the new rules. I didn't like them at first, but now I kind of settled into how the game's moving. It moves faster.
Right.
I'm seeing more bloop singles than we ever saw before, which is the way it should be, instead of these guys, you know, on second base and shortstop playing center field. And, you know, it's like, you know, didn't make any sense. So that's pretty much what I do. I do Taekwondo 3 to 4 days a week. I spend an hour and a half doing that, keeping myself in shape. And right now, leading up to this climb, every Sunday I walk 9 miles on a walk over a
Was that the
causeway.
secret to losing all the weight?
The Taekwondo helped a lot with that, for sure. Heavy duty exercise plus a really good diet. Cut a lot of the alcohol out of my life, but not completely. I'm not teetotaling, but I have reduced it where I don't drink alcohol every day of the week anymore. I don't drink a bottle of whiskey in 3 days. And, you know, I keep no spirits in the house if I can help it, because it's there, I'll drink it. So I realized my demon, and I said, no, I'm going to just push that aside. And I'll just, you know, I'll have an obligatory beer or two if I'm out having dinner or something, or out with friends. And then, you know, my wife loves to cook, and, you know, she just feeds me these amazing meals all the time. And then I got grandkids. So I like to go visit the grandkids. They're up in Jacksonville, Florida. So I go up there, and then, and I got a dog, my little Cocker Spaniel, who keeps me busy. So that's pretty much my life. It's pretty easy.
That sounds like a pretty good life, man.
Yeah, and about a year and a half from now, I'll probably be retired, and then I won't know what to do. I might find my way out by you guys, because I told my wife, I said, I want to go travel across the country chasing sunsets for like 6 months. You know,
That'd be amazing.
take the 3 of us, you know, her and a dog with the SUV, one of those camper things that fold off the back of it. You set up like a big old tent behind it. And I said, we'll just go hit different parks and we'll just chase sunsets, you know, big lakes. I'm sure you guys got magnificent sunsets out by you with a lake. Yeah. Even if you're not in the lake, you got big fields out in the Midwest, which have amazing sunsets. So I'm looking up where all the great sunsets are. We're just going to traverse around the country, and somewhere along the way, there has to be a cigar shop involved. And we'll document the whole thing on Stogie Press as we do it. It would just be a fun thing to do.
You should come on up for a Packer game, man.
I should come out for a Packers game. Yeah.
Everyone that loves sports has to come to Lambeau once.
I heard that.
Like, yeah.
Just like everybody who's into baseball must go to Fenway Park and Wrigley Field and Dodger Stadium. Used to be Yankee Stadium, but it's a new stadium, so those guys screwed it up. Hey, you know, there's a fun trivia question. So, I could say I'll change the question ever so slightly because of what happened. But what is the oldest baseball stadium in baseball?
That's I don't know. I would say St. Louis.
Busch Stadium?
I don't know.
Oh wait, Busch Stadium looks great.
What's the oldest team?
Yankee Stadium, I'm guessing.
So back in the day before they built Yankee Stadium, the new one, that would have been the correct answer. But most people immediately, and I would bet beers on this, most people would say Wrigley Field or Fenway Park, right? Because Fenway Park is 1906, right? And they'll say, well, it would be Fenway Park. Gosh, Jimmie, it's Fenway Park. And I'm like, no, I didn't say park or field or yard. I said stadium. So it would have been Yankee Stadium, but they tore it down. Shame on them.
Yeah.
So now it's Dodger Stadium. It's 1950, 55.
Is that right?
Yeah. Dodger Stadium is the oldest stadium in baseball right now.
Is that right? That doesn't even feel right.
So that's a good beer question in a bar. Most people will never get that answer right because they're going to say Fenway or Wrigley. Guaranteed. So you can win a beer.
We go collection of years. Would it have been Yankee Stadium then?
Yankee Stadium was the first stadium built for baseball.
So when they tore that down, though, is like Wrigley Field and Fenway, are they catching up then for years in service?
No. Fenway Park was built before Yankee Stadium was built.
Oh, okay.
Fenway Park is the oldest venue.
So you're saying, so it's like a play on words then?
Yeah, it's a play on words.
Okay, right.
Right. And yeah, always a good, and remember that you guys are from Wisconsin, Milwaukee. So like I mentioned pre-show, that you, me, and the Braves were all connected because all through the Braves. It was the Boston Braves, it was the Milwaukee Braves, and then it was the Atlanta Braves. When I was a kid collecting baseball cards back in the late 60s, 70s, it was early 70s, or whatever, 60s, it was the Milwaukee Braves, right? It wasn't the Brewers back then.
Right.
And then they changed. So interesting little bit of trivia there.
Knowing's half the battle.
That's it. Well, this has been an awesome show. It has been having a lovely time having these conversations. I really hope everybody checks out Lovely Cigars. Trust me, those that trust me know me. You're gonna love these cigars. These guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm looking forward to your new blend. See, it's always hard to double up on something. But most important thing for me is it's got to have flavor. It can't be bad flavors, and it has to burn right. Your cigars burn right. Okay. That's the ticket. I don't ever want to have a cigar when you talk about struggling with the draw, I don't want to struggle with flaky ashes that drop constantly. They should carry at least an inch and a half. Okay. Nice. Doesn't have to be a long ash. They get bonus for that, but it should be a solid ash. When you tweak it to drop the ash, got a nice burn cone on the front of it that looks like that nice little rosebud. That's what you want. That's what you guys did. And I gotta say, you got the right factory helping you there. So everybody check them out. I'm going to give you guys the last word. You can go in any order.
I'd just like to say thanks for having us on. Really appreciate your support. It's more of a passion thing for us than anything else. Like Dylan and Keith were talking about, this is just something we love to do together. It's something we wanted to bring to other people. We love the history involved in the industry in general and the history that was in Green Bay. We wanted to bring that out to people so everybody knew what we knew. And hopefully we're doing that with some really good tobacco, and hopefully people are having great experiences enjoying our cigars. So thank you for supporting us, and check us out if you haven't tried our cigar.
Yeah, for me, like smoking a cigar, we were at an event on Thursday down in Milwaukee, and we had this circle conversation about how the cigar is a great denominator amongst men. An electrical engineer could sit down with a media content creator, could sit down with a salesperson, could sit down with a janitor, could sit down with a homeless person, and over a cigar, everyone's equal. The man that knows just a little bit more about the cigar, irregardless of his education, becomes the leader of a circle, and the stories and the relationships we have met in the short time we've been in a business, but before that, the longer times we've been in lounges, that's what attracts us to this industry. The camaraderie, the family, the tightness of just the people that are involved. The cigar is a great denominator. It's a great denominator, equalizer of people.
Yeah, I'd say, you're up in the Green Bay area, come look us up. It's a pretty small town, pretty easy to find. Love to share a cigar with you, or if you're at PCA, stop on by. Love to share a cigar.
Yes.
Keep smoking, keep making memories.
Do you know what booth you're at, PCA? Or where
we're-
you're next to, or what you're next to?
Yeah, we're right up by La Aurora, right?
Yeah, we're really close to La Aurora.
Just right across the
Okay.
hall from it, so kind of on the
Right.
north side.
And you guys should check out when you're there, take a walk over and talk to the Boutique Cigar Association at their pavilion. I'm sure Gabby Caffey and the team would love to talk to you and see if you're interested in being part of the Boutique Cigar Association, which is now at first time going to be represented in mass at PCA.
That's exciting.
Deal.
And they have
Sounds like a deal.
their own event too. They have their event down, and they're having it in Florida later in the year, I understand. So
Very cool.
good thing. It's a good way to get connected with possible Florida connections. So,
Yeah.
well, that was great. Folks, that's our show. Next week, there'll be no show because my goddaughter is graduating high school and Uncle Jimmy's got to be Uncle Jimmy. So I have to be
That's
there.
great.
That's great.
Be having a great time. But when we come back on June 3rd, mark your calendars for this. I'm going to have Marvin Samuel on. For those of you who don't know who Marvin Samuel is the other part of what was the beginning of Drew Estate. He was Jonathan's partner in creating the company and all the way up to where they sold it to Swisher. He is now a filmmaker. He has recently put out a new film called I, Mordecai, which is a autobiographical story about his life and mostly about his father. And you're going to love this movie. Look it up online. If you need to find out from me, I'll show you where to get it. You can get it on Amazon Prime. I think you got to rent it for like $2.47. But I watched it today, and you're going to love this movie. It talks about him in the cigar industry, along with his father, his mother going through dementia. A bit about the Holocaust is tied into that because of the Jewish family that he's from. And it also gets into some interesting twists and turns. And it's a fun movie to watch. And we're going to have him on, and we're going to be breaking that whole thing down. So we're going to have a great time talking to Marvin on June 3rd. And then June 10th, I'm going to be in Atlanta with Cigar Mike. So we might do a live thing there. I'll see if I can get something hooked up to do that. Have kind of a live show coming out at an event that he's doing, a 4th anniversary event up there. And then on June 29th, all I could say is something's happening in the Bronx in New York. We'll leave it at that, but something's happening in the Bronx on Thursday, June 29th. You want to tune in at least to my Facebook feeds for that because it's going to be special. That's it. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Lovely Cigar Crew. Don't forget, enjoy a lovely cigar any time of the day. And with that, our show is finished.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks,
Appreciate
Jimmy.
it.